Hello, Remi.
Hey, Farhad, how are you?
Thanks, good. How are you?
As well, thank you.
I guess we are both in the same heat wave at the moment.
Yeah, actually, the storm is coming, so it might be a bit better after, but last few days were the same, I guess.
Usually people before storm feel a bit sluggish, so we will talk about energy.
Yes, it's about the topic, I guess.
Welcome to Inner Power Particles. I'm Farhat, the host of the podcast. We talk with entrepreneurs and leaders about how they have solved the challenges in their life or business and how it has transformed into new inner strength in them. And with this, we want to help that you also can look at your life or business situations and see how you can solve the challenges in them, and through that, transform them also into new inner strengths, inner power particles in you. Enjoy the show. Yeah. And how do you feel energy wise now?
Yeah, I feel something in my head, like just this vibrations. So maybe it's because of the storm, I don't know.
Mm.
But it was like a intense period of time for me, last
Yeah.
few weeks or months. So which actually concluded just yesterday. So
Okay. So somehow last time when we had the mentoring session together, this thought about energy came to me to discuss it with you, and
yeah,
you agreed. So thank you for this. What's your age for us for context?
I'm 45.
Okay, I'm 42. So
Uh,
two middle-aged men are going to share some insights and experiences about energy. Uh,
Maybe there's some wisdom. Who knows?
Yeah, and you shared also that you have a wider interest in health and well-being. Can you share a bit what's your background and why you have this interest in these topics?
Yes, I think it just came gradually over time. So I started to look actually for how I can improve, how do I feel on a daily basis, how can I, develop myself in a different direction. So this started to come maybe 8 years ago, and bit by bit I went through different topics on the health, on the spirituality, on the different really topics. And actually, this was so important for me. It became to be that I started a company around this.
But why did you look in these topics? Did you want to go from bad to good, or was it from good to better?
Um, I haven't had this a drastic, let's say, episode in my life that changed everything. I think it was that I started waking up from the long period of time when I was just on kind of like a job and kids and then home and everything, but I was missing something. So I gradually started to wake up, and I seen that I can do much better than what I was previously.
Mm. And you mentioned company. What type of company? Is it also related to health somehow?
Yes, it's all about health. So we do the technology that actually can measure a number of things about the health only with the camera. So topics we will touch today, I guess some of them we can measure to some degree only with the uh, an app or a web URL. So that's actually accessible for everyone.
Yeah. Okay. By the way, if you notice my eyes going somewhere from moment to moment, I'm letting in people in the call when someone's joining. All right. So, why about energy? Because from my perspective, I've been in various places. Let's say some 10 years ago, I felt very energetic, also working quite a long, long weeks of 60, 70-hour work weeks. Then some 5 years ago, I was in a very low state, no energy at all, spending time mostly in bed. Now I feel normal. I don't feel like superhuman, but I don't also feel like zombie. I feel good most days, or almost all the time, physically good. And yeah, I wanted to look at this topic together with you because as I'm working with founders, also company leaders, from time to time, I get such people coming to me who feel very low on energy
Mm.
for multiple reasons. And then, of course, when you don't have energy, then nothing else kind of works. You need to start with that, how to build up the energy. And that's the broad theme that I want to get into together with you.
Yeah.
Maybe we can start with this. What is energy? What are we speaking about actually? How would
Well,
you define it?
I guess it's like a broad topic, right? But I guess like I can say that like we even like human beings, like we are only, let's say, I think I found this description somewhere that we're temporary energy tied together on some level of vibrations. Like so we are all energy, right? Our emotions are energy, everything like around is actually some form of energy. So if we are low, then most of these things are coming when we're high. This is the opposite. But looking closer, energy is like, how do we feel? I think this might be some very simple explanation, but this has, very, very many layers.
Yeah, okay. My angle, how I look at energy here, I don't mean the broad sense of it, but I mean more the strength's ability to move, do things, to move through the ordinary life, that type of energy. And the
Okay.
opposite, the lack of that energy is to wake up as if, yes, 8 hours, but still need to sleep 8 more hours and sleepy and
Yeah.
can't move a finger. And that's the lack of the energy. And the mind is not working and so on. Um, are we aligned on
Yeah,
this?
yeah. I mean, this is like a, more like on a daily basis, right? And still having many layers, underneath. Like this is the actually the, let's say, kind of like a force, right, towards the life and then doing things, or lack of it, right? Kind of.
Yeah. So let's get into it. So what's your experience on building energy and what takes away energy? What are your perspectives on this?
Yeah, I think there's like many things that can actually take this energy away of you, or the other things that can bring them in. And I think I would start from the point that I think it's important to be aware, like how actually do you feel every day. It sounds very simple, right? But I think especially when you're going lower and lower, this is harder and harder to spot, and it's just like a way down. So the things that may take out the energy, there are many things, but um, I can maybe start from those that can bring back the energy or actually pump pump you, yeah, on a daily basis if you're low.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
So those are things related to actually activity, so sports, let's say. And this can be things from like even like a simple 5-10 minutes, just like a simple exercise during the day, like if it's needed. Or what works best for me is like this half an hour or an hour, even once a week, but more intense training. So this can be running for myself. This can be, I guess, different things. And even if, I'm sometimes really low on energy after the, 8 or 9 hours of work, and I don't really necessarily like to do another hour of exercise, the feeling after is it's much better. That's one.
Yeah, that's interesting. I usually prefer to do sports in the morning, and evening is just like I spend all my energy already during the day at work and interactions with people, and in the evening is more like I wouldn't say couch potato mode, but bath or just sitting reading, except I go to bachata classes on evenings, some twice a week.
So for me, it's maybe even different thing, because like I'm this type of energetic person that actually work very intense. So for me, being a person that is actually not having this energy from inside, according to human design, I need to, these sources all around me, right? But if I see that I work too intense, then after this couple of hours of intense work, I feel really overwhelmed. Like the number of things that went through this 6-8 hours are so much that I feel that I have to just work them out. So this is mainly, I think, for this. That's why I'm doing this at the end of the day, not at the beginning.
Yeah. You mentioned human design. I guess we will complicate those stuff a bit with this topic. So what do you mean with?
Yeah, I mean, human design is just this, let's say, a framework that classify people in four different categories, and each of these category has different energy type, among many other things. And human design in general, this is like a combination of few things, including astrology, right? The I Ching, I think, and there was one more, I think.
But the idea is that there are different types, and for each type, there are many things that this type is defining, but also it is defining how we get, spend, and regenerate energy for
Yes.
us.
So for instance, in my case, I don't have this inner energy generator, right?
Yeah,
For me, it's very important as I'm projector in this four types. So for me, it's very important to actually get this energy from outside and facilitate, and then I can give out even more. So like a square. But without these sources, I feel really low. So working myself, or sometimes like it's very actually important for me with what type of other people are cooperate, and those can either give or get away the energy.
yeah. So this means then for you, it's kind of important to be aware of your this human design type and to take it into account when you design your day and life.
Yeah, I mean, it's not always possible to make it in the best way, but at least this awareness is, I think, important for everyone. Yes.
Yeah. For me, my type is generator, and that means that I have the inner generator of energy.
Yes.
But what's the rule for generators is that we need to spend the energy throughout the day fully, so that when I go to sleep, that energy is completely spent, and only then it regenerates properly during the night.
Yes.
All right. But maybe it's a bit of detour, but still interesting point that you are aware of human design. You know that it includes as part of it also astrology, which some call a pseudoscience. And at the same time, your company is a very science-based company. I assume it's not esoteric or shamanic school. So how do you combine these two things together?
I mean, the company we run on the science and then the medicine, right? So even though the very initial concept we got was from Chinese medicine, which is like, well, 3,000 years old, and the Chinese medicine of reading the face, right? Because what we do, we actually reads and scans your face for the 60 seconds. And from there, we know about your heart rate, blood pressure, we know about your stress, many other things. So for me, just like in my private life, I have this like a broad understanding of different topics, while in the company, we intentionally not going that way. So we go very scientific and medical. So yeah, just to be in this space, classified as a company that actually works on those bases.
Yeah, yeah, okay. So then coming back to energy.
Mhm.
You started with sports. Okay, this is obvious. Maybe let's clear the table with the obvious stuff. I guess the second thing is food, what we eat, what we don't eat, that takes away or gives energy. And there are so many various opinions about what's the right food, what's the wrong food. I think we won't be able to give that truth here, but still our own experiences about what has worked for each of us. Can you share your perspective on this?
Yes, of course. And I think the sugar is actually not the best to keep the like a steady energy level over day, because with sugar injections, this then are the ups and downs, right? So just if you take them, you're going up and then you're going down, and you have to get the sugar again. So if possible, like I think sugar is something to avoid on the first place.
Yeah,
Then I think like a different things of diet, like I don't know, vegan, vegetarian, keto. There's like I guess dozens of them. And I think everyone should try what works best. I think there's no single one which is best for everyone.
yeah,
For me, I'm vegetarian for a couple of years now, 7, maybe 6 or 8 ish.
yeah.
That works.
How has it affected your energy levels, or it hasn't?
I think it has, but as I told you before, like these are the gradual and many things that came into my being over time. So now
Okay.
I think it would be difficult for me to say, okay, this take big role, this take a small role. I think it's like a many things combined making this difference.
You mentioned sugar. Sugar is carb, and many other things are carbs. And I've been recently experimenting with keto diet, although I must admit that now in summer with the strawberries and whatnot, it's much impossible to to go fully keto mode. But still, I've eliminated lots of carbs I used to eat before, like rice, potatoes, lentils, and I feel better since then. There are like so many these hidden forms of sugars. I had the recent experience when we were climbing a mountain in a group of men, and most of men were carnivore only eaters, meaning those guys who eat only meat and meat products. And then some, like one third of people were omnivores, eating everything. And those who were running on ketosis, they were much more stronger physically and also mentally. And with strength here, I don't mean how much you can lift something, but endurance, how much you can walk without breaks, and when do you break mentally also when climbing the mountain.
That might be something about it, you know. I was on the mountain trip like this winter, and actually this was like over almost 7,000 high summit. And suddenly when I went to Argentina, I wanted to eat meat. And over
Huh.
this 3 weeks when I was there, I was ate mostly the meat.
Yeah.
And it just came. I mean, I was aware, and I allowed myself just to follow, right? And maybe that was part of the reasons, like yeah, of my success, right?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, but let's go to this like a number of things that can, boost you up. So for me, other type I use sometimes power naps, especially after a couple of meetings, sometimes back to back, and this intense work. I feel like I'm done. I'm so packed with information that I cannot do any next meeting or next email. Then even such short nap as 5 or 10 minutes makes a difference.
But do you fall asleep in 5 minutes, or you just lay down?
No, I'm fall asleep. I mean,
Oh.
it's like I'd say maybe this is like a half, half dreaming, half being awake. But it's just the state that even if such short period of time can actually kind of reset reset me from the for the state I was before.
I can relate to this. Yes, I also sometimes feel like that, not often, but sometimes. And when I feel I do take the power naps as well.
Yeah, I would say like a social support is important as well. Maybe
Social.
this is not social support, like sharing stuff with others, and then actually releasing this tension through this way. This is a powerful thing. Maybe not so obvious,
So this
right?
ties a bit into one topic that you sent me. You want to talk about is people who are giving energy, people who are energy vampires. Meaning,
Yeah.
when I go and talk with someone, sometimes I can feel better, more energized. Sometimes I can feel worse after
Okay.
conversation, even if the person kind of seemed supportive and listening. So, what is this thing? What's your experience on this?
Well, I have many examples on both sides, right? So I can have like a meeting with people after 8 hours, and after the meeting, I'm feeling better than on the beginning of the day. And sometimes I remember like some meetings that I went for it, and after an hour, I was drained and I was tired and anxious, and I was like, you know, stressed, right?
Yeah.
And even so, these people can maybe on the surface be nice and just talk, right? But then I think there are some actually, well, types of these people as well, like how to actually recognize them. So I think that the second may be important. So I will share that like very often, like these people want to be in the center of the attention. So even if they're talking about anything, they need to be in the center. They often like accelerate problems, topics they want to talk about. They may sometimes blame others, right, for different things constantly, or just be manipulators so that they can just use people like in different ways. But again, this might be like descriptions, like whatever, but at the end of the day, you kind of feel, if not even during the meeting or, being with such person, then after. And that's the lesson, maybe that's not to repeat too often. But I think that's really a big impact on, like, we are both building the companies, right? And if there's more people on the sites that actually take your energy off, then imagine how everything can work if you feel drained even by the people you work with every day. While on the opposite side, when you surround yourself with the people which are high on the energy, then it's completely different.
In my experience, this also depends not only on the people, but on the level of truthfulness in the relationship between the people. It doesn't even mean conscious lies, but even if we have some unconsciously fake relationship, for whatever reason, in most cases it's out of fear or greed, and that's why we are working together and staying together, then we will keep draining each other in such relationship.
We don't even need to be in the same room. Like
Yes.
that's actually like to go away, right? Just because we are thinking about or we are being in this relationship, make it out.
Yeah, yeah. Here, the simple test question is that if I would speak my mind, like tell you how things actually are, would we still feel that we
We
have
are
harmony
friends, yeah.
between? Yes. But but actually, I think it's better to speak the truth, and then if the house burns down, let it burn down, instead of trying to upkeep some fake, not real thing.
Yeah. Which is not always the easiest thing, right? Like
No.
to speak this
No.
truth. And I think, that's, I guess, like various, let's say, blockers are working like in our, let's say, how we are construct, just to not let the house burn, because then many things can
But
go.
my experience is such that I have been sometimes for years stuck in such situations where I'm in fake harmony because I'm afraid about some outcomes which might happen if I speak how things actually are. Anyway, sooner or later, these consequences arrive, but then in a less pleasant way. And therefore, recently, for past few months, I have started more radical approach that, let's say, I have agreed to do something with someone together, doesn't matter to go fishing or go dancing, and then the time comes and I feel I don't want to. And then I just tell the person, listen, we have to cancel the plans because I don't feel like doing it. And I know that I will have to pay the price, which is maybe you won't trust me next time, but I rather pay this price than the price I will have to pay if we do this, despite me not wanting to do this.
Yeah, I think, being like a more radical and more honest with yourself, that's the way to go.
Okay, but as you mentioned this, maybe you have some more insights about how to spot and treat if you feel that someone is this energy vampire or zombie, whatever.
How to spot them, you mean?
Yeah, what's your experience? How do you approach these situations when you recognize you are dealing with someone who is draining your energy?
Yeah, so it's not always something you can do right away, right? Because this might be indeed some sort of relation. This might be a person in your company that cannot disappear very next day, right? Despite your wishes. The thing that you can do, and what I was doing, was maybe getting more into it just to be sure that this is the case. And if so, I tried to actually stay away the most I could. If sometimes it was even like the case that I decide to let a person go from the company because I feel that there's no chemistry, there's no energy that we can work together, and there's always like things we have to push this and that side. So I think this radical approach you said, in respect, of course, of the different conditions that are around, I think this is the way to go.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe it's not like a simple, there's no silver bullet points on this topic, but I think awareness is the first and then the action that follows.
There's this type of people whom sometimes who are described as negative or naysayers. Let's imagine a company environment in the board. One of the board members is usually against, oh no, this is not going to work and this is not going to work and so on and so on. How do you know if he's like really this just negative energy emission thing and you need to let him go, or he's the only sane person in the room? Because this also can be the case,
Yeah,
right?
that can be true. I think the way I'm doing this is just by asking questions and trying to find the motivation, right? Because if it's indeed not the best thing to do for my company, then there is some explanation and some background. Why is that? So the motivation of the person, I think that's the key to decide either this person is actually only sane and actually saying good things I should follow, or this is something that it's just by default for this person just to make it okay. It's bad.
Mhm.
So asking questions, I think that's the thing I mentioned, that if I'm suspicious about something, then the second phase is just to double check. Is this true? It's just by me or it's just the other person? So these questions may help.
By the way, semi off topic, but what I've observed with some clients is that if there is this, let's call negative colleague, sometimes the reason is that they have unconsciously decided they want to leave the place, but
Mm.
consciously they do not register it, and the reason is fear. Like, what will I do elsewhere? And then they act semi-consciously in such ways that provoke them being fired, asked to leave.
I guess this might be quite common
Yeah.
in such situations. Yeah.
And this you can actually spot through this, what you said, yes, asking questions, because if the motivation is to support the company, then there will be some sound answers why I'm against. But if the motivation is, please fire me, then it will be harder to give such answers.
Yeah.
Okay, but let's come back to the topic. You started going through some list of what boosts energy. What else?
Yeah. The one thing I can bring here is something, the technique, which is actually called emotional freedom technique. So this is something I learned from my psychotherapist, but then I went for the few weeks course about this. This is basically tapping on the specific places on your face, chest, and the head, the places which are on the in the meridian system. So the meridian system is actually, according to Chinese medicine, the system which actually transports the energy in the body.
Mhm.
So this works for the energetic system and supports our energetic systems. And this can be used to relieve actually the negative emotions, desires. This can be used actually anytime because it doesn't require anything. It's just 5 or 10 minutes. You can work with yourself, knowing how. And this is like one of the most rapid and working techniques I ever used. Even
Meaning
if
it works for you.
it worked for me many times, and I was surprised actually how effective it is. And actually, there are studies they use the same techniques with the veterans of the I don't know, Vietnam War or whatever, people with PTSD. And after even like a 10 or 20 years that the people were stuck in this, they finally relieve the underlying emotion that were deep inside of them.
Uh-huh.
So really,
So where can I learn more about it?
well, there's a lot of this topic in the internet, I guess. It's not like a kind of like a secret knowledge. There are some courses. I know this for sure. And
I mean, is there anything specific you recommend?
well, this was like a very small course made by my psychotherapist, so I don't think he's doing this like very broadly to anyone. But yeah, I can check where this course is. Maybe there's something online as well.
Okay, so but this is something that works for you and you recommend it as a good method.
It's, yeah, I know that it's working not only for me. I met many other people that being with me on the course, or different people that actually they confirmed that this was working the same as for me. And this
Mm.
actually, not only it can be used for reducing the tension which is coming from negative emotions or from desires, but also it can be used for affirmations. So you can use this like let's say ad hoc, where we are really in this emotion. You can use this at the end of the day, just to relieve anything you don't want to go, to your bed with, or you can use this on the morning, like just to actually support this whatever affirmations you may have.
Mhm.
Same way, actually doing the same thing.
Okay.
But this is, I guess, not so well known, so that's I thought it would be nice to actually take it here and share.
Yeah. Okay. Let's continue. What else is on your list?
Meditation as well. This is something to go at the end of the day, most likely than during, but still, this is something. This is different approach than the sports, obviously, less intense. But for me, at least, I can settle all of the things that were in emotion over the whole day. Actually, some of them being in my mind, they were taking the energy off, and gradually, if you sit on the couch and everything is going like away, then somehow all of these thoughts are disappearing.
How long do you meditate usually?
How long? I mean, this could be most often. This could be like a 15-minute session.
Ah, okay.
If I have more time, then I can do it even like a full hour.
Yeah. Yeah, I can relate to meditation as a good tool because it kind of slows down all the chaos of thoughts and also clears out some unnecessary, hopefully unnecessary thoughts from the mind.
Well, yes, I mean that's maybe similar to this EFT, just a different way, more gentle, let's say, right?
Yeah.
And maybe less rapid. As we are talking about many different things that can be used, I think it's fair to say that there's no all or a single magic formula that you can take the pill and it's all gone, right? It's different things that will work in different situations for different type of people. So I think it's good to, it's like a toolbox, I think, right? And depending what you need, what type of person you are, then you can take whatever you think is best.
But actually, if I summarize at this moment how far we have talked, except this EFT that you mentioned, there's no kind of magical pill for regaining energy. And that's also what I see with clients, that if someone is super low on energy, then usually there's one of these things present: crappy food, no sports, too long work hours, shitty sleep, conflicting or fake harmony relationships around, some weak team players in the team who have not been let go. So, quite kind of simple things to see, sometimes not simple to execute.
Yes. And I think the also important thing to do is just to maybe pick one and make the first step, just to see the difference, right? Whether this is food or letting go of someone or whatever it is, for some, it's actually the simplest thing to do, just to see a difference that somehow is getting the results. And,
I agree. We could call it the domino effect thing, which is this one thing that you push and then it will create a domino effect.
yeah,
For people in our network, mostly founders, CEOs, busy people, so to say now you have to meditate or now you have to find an hour of sports, for some it seems almost impossible. But what I think is relatively easy to fix what you eat because it doesn't require much extra time. It just requires change of habits.
but habits are strong.
Of course, yeah. I mean, like at least this doesn't require much extra time to be conscious about. Okay, let's eliminate all the sugars, if possible, carbs as well, and focus mostly on other nutrients and biological food if possible, which is good for health.
I
And
agree. I agree that the habit, like changing the diet, is the easiest to do because it doesn't require like a course or knowledge you need to gain or extra time because you're eating anyway, right?
Yeah.
Just I'm not sure because with diets, you won't see the effects right away on the next day. It will take some time.
Yes, of course.
Wonder is like a sweet spot, the action that is simple to take and as well can bring you some visible change very quickly, even if it's small. What do you think?
Well, then the other two things which are the most obvious are too long work hours and some relationship is not working. And I don't mean necessarily romantic relationship, some work relationship might not be working. So to address these areas. And regarding work hours, I have some people in my network who work really crazy hours, like 80 per week, because like there's so much to do. And there's one concept that I've learned about. I'll show you the book. It's a super interesting and insightful book. It's called Slow Productivity. And
Okay.
the author there talks about several case studies, which are actually obvious, because in life this is how it happens, that most of the pivotal points for businesses and teams, they do not happen because of many hours. They happen because of something else. And then in the life,
Usually they're not even happening during the work.
even so, yeah. And And if we set that the long hours and the particular KPIs are the main ingredients of success, then we kind of push. And this kind of repeats the 100-year-old approach mindset, which was in factories, that the longer the shift, the more you will produce.
Yes.
But in the intellectual work business, it's not so. Because of kind of being overwhelmed and tired, you are switching off your mind from some splendid ideas, or you are saying no to some opportunities by not showing up somewhere, which might completely turn around the business.
Completely agree. So that's actually, you know, I haven't worked over weekends for the last, I don't know, many years. It happens that like I work like maybe 9 or 10 hours in a single day, but it's not like every day. But I think also in my case, because I work very fast and very intense. So in my case, it's not even that I should be cautious of the hours, but the intensity. Because sometimes I can be really tired after 4 hours, while others, I guess, can work 10 or 12. In general, I think reduction of time hours slash sleep. This can bring some noticeable really like if someone is not sleeping well for because of the work, for instance, even with a single night or 2 nights of a good sleep, they can see a big difference.
Yeah. And about reducing hours, now let's just look a bit into this. Because if you can't reduce work hours, you won't be able to increase sleep hours. Just this correlation.
That's
So, how do you reduce work hours? Let's say you are a CEO or other C-level role and your backlog is full, email is full, Slack is full. How do you reduce work hours?
yes. So I think there are like many things that can be done. So one is just see meetings, right? Those are the first suspects. That there are too many meetings that I actually don't need to be at all, which actually comes with a good delegation and trust that others will actually deliver what they agreed to. So
And if
this
they're not able to deliver, sometimes this just means that they shouldn't be doing these things.
exactly, yeah, because going into micromanagement or actually being everywhere just to be sure that things are going as they should, this is not the way to go. This is the way to have 80 hours week. Yeah, so meetings, that's one. The other might be the priorities. Like not everything needs to be done. Let's be honest, right? There are some things that needs to be done first and for sure, and those are this 20% of things likely, right? So they needs to be on the top, likely like in your prime time when you're the most, let's say, fresh. And some of the things can be done later, and some I think might be not done at all or delegate, let's say.
This is good topic about priorities. I've myself been in this trap that I think this something is super important, and then I spend, let's say, a week on it, and then I look half a year back at that thing, and I see it was obviously could have not done it all.
Yeah.
So, how do you spot it in the moment that let's not do this?
Yeah. Well, I think and maybe it's the way to look what's the outcome from this task, and is the outcome actually supporting the whatever goals you have, right? Because let's say that we should, in theory, good theory, do only things that actually attributes to whatever like a KPI or OKR, whatever like a framework we are working on. Otherwise, maybe it's not the case. So
Yeah,
actually making those KPIs and making these key objectives is actually the way to avoid the work that can or should not be done.
yeah,
Maybe a funny story. I'm not sure it's true or not, but I heard this that the Napoleon has the rule that when during the war actually when the mail were coming to his place, he said that each of this needs to wait 2 or 3 days because in this time 80% of these topics will solve on their own.
yeah. Mhm.
So maybe it's another a reason here that not everything needs to be taken care immediately, right? Maybe some things can wait a bit, and then some other factors will come in the on the stage, and they change.
I
Uh,
have two reflections on this also. One is the trap of ideas, that I have an idea to do, or someone in the team has an idea, and then we jump on to discuss the idea and shape it a bit and then move to implementation or to backlog. But what we are missing in this case is that we should look at the idea from the first principles lens. What is this idea solving? And
Mhm.
then why do we want to solve this, and why can I go deeper, and then from this deepest why then ask a different question. What's the first of all, do we even need to solve this, and if yes, then what are the best ways to achieve it? And then maybe we don't even look at that idea anymore because there are much better ways to achieve this. And this requires this critical thinking. And another concept is, it's I take it from Harvard Business Review. There was once an article about monkeys, that the CEO usually is super tired in the evenings and weekends because he has many monkeys on his shoulders, and this weight is pulling them down. And why they have the monkeys is because their subordinates are coming to the CEO, and the person comes, let's say the CMO comes and says, hey, here's a monkey on my shoulder, can you take it? And the CEO, okay, yes, I will take it. And what this metaphor tells is that someone comes and says, there's a problem, can we solve it? And the manager says, okay, I will think about it. So, and at the moment he says,
Yeah,
okay, I will think about it, or I will solve it, or let me process it with that person, you have taken the monkey. And then you should think about how to, okay, me and you, we can together look at your monkey, but you leave the room with your monkey. I'm not taking it.
yeah, it's topic about getting too much of responsibility, right? And sometimes like I was looking on this topic more from this like a let's say a big chunks of responsibility, but I haven't actually spotted out this way. But indeed, that's the case. Like if you're taking the problem out of your, then it's your problem and it's your responsibility to solve it.
Yeah.
Yes, it's very true. Just, as a manager, you can be there and help provide support, but the monkey is still not yours.
And somehow we got in the forest of managerial entrepreneurial topics now, but still there's one more thing which I remembered, which is connected with business and these long hours. If you imagine two circles with dots in them, one circle is your team, and another circle are your projects and tasks. I mean, your companies, not your individual. Then,
Yeah.
with each new team member, the overhead grows geometrically, meaning your as managers overhead. Because when you have two employees, then there are three communication lines, and when there are four, then it's like already much more, and so it grows geometrically. Therefore, each new team member should add geometrically progressive contribution to the company also. And if it's not happening, then actually each new team member is taking the company down. So this is one. And also about the priorities, which you mentioned, that also the same thing. If I have 3 projects running on at the same time, compared to one project, then the administrative and managerial overhead will also grow in a geometric progression, because I will have so many meetings and things to discuss. And if at the same time the projects I'm included in and the team is growing, then this is how my business is going to the roof. If unless team members are capable suppliers, they are able to accomplish their goals on their own, more or less, and they only need a proper delegation system in place. And I'm not kind of putting myself the main guy in all the topics and decisions.
Yes, so true. Been there, done that. Yeah, I mean, the focus, you remember, like we were talking about this, like we have been this team, and it was very easy for us just to spot up this next like idea how to actually make it better, or actually how to make 2 products, not one.
Yeah.
And this was actually the case you just described. Communications, too many like dependencies between the projects, and too much of talking and thinking versus doing. So
And
yeah.
here's one principle, that each task will take the full time that you give to this task, and
Okay.
each team member will fill his backlog full and his week full with tasks to do. It just happens automatically for
Yes.
people. And then
Yes.
it seems everyone's busy. We are so busy. Where can we get more hands? But sometimes we are busy just because we have many people, not because we are actually creating value.
Yeah, that's true as well.
But as the time is running to the end, what is some gem that you maybe had in your back of your head you wanted to share, but we didn't get there yet?
The gem was pretty much this emotional freedom technique, because this is very powerful, I think, very not too much known in this space. Like the other also being maybe back to my company and how we are solving this, or maybe helping, right? Like one of the things you can take with our technology, but also with some smartwatches, this is something called heart rate variability, right? So this is coming from a heart rate, and this actually shows each of the necks of a heartbeat is differ from each other. So this HRV consists of 2 parts. So like in general, the nervous system, right? So it's a sympathetic one, which delegates like things about fight or flight. And there's the parasympathetic, which is responsible for rest and digest. And like this is the balance, and the higher HRV is, so the higher actually change between heartbeats, the better for you. That means that you're more healthy, less stressed, less fatigue. So it means that both of the systems can switch on, depends on the situation you're actually into. The lower HRV, it means that actually your system can make these changes much less, meaning that you are under stress, you may be under fatigue. This also, comes like alcohol in the place, or medications, or acute stress. So
Yeah,
if this is happening, then the HRV is low, and that's bad. And this is something, we can measure.
your product helps to measure it.
Yes, so we measure HRV quite precisely, and also this parasympathetic activity. So this is the place we can deliver.
If someone wants to try out your product, how can they do it?
It's very simple. It's just like the demo.Shen.AI, where we have web and mobile apps that are actually available for free.
Like SHEN
I
dot AI. Uh-huh.
Yeah,
Okay.
and AI. So that's actually part of the things we are working. And actually the HRV is very like not common thing people look at again. So that's maybe at the end.
Okay.
We talk about this topic, for an hour, and this is the way how can you measure.
how you can measure it and see how. But is there also some information how to interpret it?
There is some basic information in the app. What's about?
Okay.
What is it about? Actually, there's no norms.
Yeah.
Even in the medicine or scientific world, like as you know, there are norms for blood pressure, for instance. There are no norms for HRV. It's just like a general rule, like the higher the better.
Okay. All right. Okay. I want to conclude in turn with some a bit more psychological, not a gem, but just a dot on the I, which I wanted to share, is that the energy taker sometimes is worry about how others perceive us.
Hmm.
So the worry, if I was good enough for someone, did I say the good thing or I said the wrong thing or I didn't say enough or I didn't call when they expected. So all this worry, was I good for someone else? And worry, was I maybe bad for someone else? This is taking a lot of energy for many people. And of course, there's no simple recipe for solving this, and we don't have time now to go into some of the methods. But and then this obvious is just to be aware of my thoughts and see if I'm not thinking these type of thoughts that oh, I said that, but should I have said that instead? And maybe meditation is one of the tools where you can notice this and train this awareness, and then just to remind, I'm aware, I'm here. I'm happy. I don't need to think and worry about this. Like what I said, that's past, and that's it. If they can't handle it, well, that's their problem, but it's not gonna be my problem.
Pretty
So to
much.
to, to maintain this freedom for unhooking from what others are thinking. I know this sounds cheesy, generic, and it's actually hard to achieve, but just wanted to mention it here at the end.
Good stuff.
Okay, Remy, but thank you for your time.
Thank you,
Was
Farhad.
was nice talking with you, and I feel that there's more that we could explore. So maybe we repeat this conversation. I mean, not the same conversation, but we repeat talking to each other.
Yeah,
Oh,
I think there's like more levers. Like we can go like deeper.
yeah. All right. Enjoy the weekend. You're going on vacation now, also, I heard.
yes, yes, yes. So
Have a
it's
lovely vacation also.
so
Ciao.
much. Have a good day. Bye.
Bye bye.